everyone. This is Savor the Moments with Tia and friends, and I'm really excited to introduce you to my new friends at CW Distributing. First off, we have my new friend Jillian.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here with you at Jamesport Vineyards.
Giving us a tour of the North Fork today.
Oh, absolutely. Really enjoy it.
And my new friend Matt.
Yeah, we're here, Jamesport Vineyards. Start off your North Fork extravaganza today. Best, bringing it in.
Absolutely. We're going to head inside. We're going to prepare some nice wines, try to savor them as long as we can, and give you some good holiday suggestions for some food. So let's head on in maybe and see what we can do.
Before we head on in, his name is Alex.
Yes.
Just put that out there.
Family affair. We keep it in the family.
We're keeping it all in. Exactly. So we're going to enjoy, savor away on this beautiful dreary day. And it doesn't matter if it's raining or shining, you should still come out to a vineyard to support your locals. So let's go on in and rock it out.
Let's do it.
Okay.
You. Hello. So welcome to Jamesport Vineyard. I'd like to introduce you to the owner, Ron Gerler.
Hey,
Nice
pleasure
to
to meet you
meet
guys. Thanks for
you.
coming out today. Enjoy yourselves here at Jamesport Vineyards. We got a wonderful place for you guys to enjoy. We're going to take a tour of our vineyard down the road here, down the way here, and look at our production facility and go down and taste some wine.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. I'll follow suit. Lead the way.
It's all about the wine. It's all about the wine. Wow.
Yeah, this is the production area at Jamesport Vineyards. This is where we actually ferment red and white wines during different times of the year. We can process about 100 tons a year through the building, which equals around 4,000 cases.
Wow.
So once again, depending on the weather, that's what really dictates how the harvest is going to be and what's in the particular tanks here. But these are red fermenters currently that we have just about emptied all of them. We have one tank here that still has some Petit Verdot sitting in it. It is the last grape to come in, and so we let it ferment and macerate for about a month, and then we'll be pressing. So it'll be the actual last one to be pressed this year. Which is exciting because the harvest was a long harvest, and so it's always nice to have the last one finally get out of the tanks and into the barrels, where we do the aging process.
Now this room, I'm loving it. It's very like rustic.
Well, the barn dates back to the 1850s. It is an old barn that was out here on the North Fork, and so Milford T. Benjamin was the family that was here, and so we did a lot to try to preserve that so that the barn would stay in its natural state, which presents some challenges over the year. But the nice thing is that with an old barn like this, it has the character of really what the North Fork is all about.
Now, do you have any like harvest events when it's harvest season? Like, do you guys have something where everyone
harvest
comes
is a very
in,
busy
or?
time of the year, obviously,
Okay.
between the vineyards and plus all the people that want to come out here to the North Fork. So we do get quite a few visitors that do come out and see us, and so the challenge is obviously making that all happen. But we do some really nice things with wine tastings and having people come through and do tours in the winery itself.
Like we're doing right now.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like we're VIPs right now. Thanks to my friends at CW Distributor.
Yeah, we got some special treatment today. So.
Yeah. Now, so the next thing we're going to do today is the tastings.
Yes. So what
Is it a
typically
special room or?
Yeah, we have our cellar downstairs where we do our tastings for smaller groups, and it's also where we do age some of the wine. So why don't we go downstairs and see that?
Oh yeah. Can't wait to savor it away. Oh, wow.
This is our beautiful barrel aging cellar down here at Jamesport. We bring our guests down to come and taste wine here and taste it really out of the vats right as they're aging.
This is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. This is, like I say, the building dates back about 150 years, but this was an old potato storage cellar down here that was kept down here, and so we decided to turn it into this where guests could really enjoy the full experience with tasting wine right out of the barrels.
Wow.
I'd love to have you guys taste some of the wine right out of the barrels, too.
Can we do it today?
Yes.
Woo! This is going to be exciting.
Oh, exactly.
See, it's wine time.
Yeah, we brought down a number of them, obviously, from Jamesport Vineyard, from their brand new labels to their new East End labels. We'll be tasting them, Cab Franc and a Riesling. I'm sure you go to technique. This is actually really a traditional technique, too, for the actual ink design on the labels.
Yeah, Japanese, where they roll the fish and they actually get those prints right on the rice paper there and create that look to it. So it's kind of neat. But it represents the East End. There's the squid that come in here this time, different times of the year, the fluke that are out here.
We just found out about that the other day.
Yeah, we're
the local squids. Yeah.
That's the nice thing about this area. It's a maritime climate, so you get a lot of things that grow well here, especially the seafood that's out here, and then the combination with the wines and the fish and the natural things that are in the farming community out here.
See, what I love what you're doing, Ron, is you're marrying it all. what Long Island's all about.
Well, thank
the
you.
fishing
I
community.
think that's the
and-
whole thing. When you have a region that's emerging, that is finding the balance between the wine, between the food, and that's what's really been neat for me over the last 35 years, just to see that change that has taken place with the new restaurants and the chefs and things that have come out here to take the wines and the food and pair them together.
Yeah. Jamesport, what inspired you to start this vineyard?
Well, my father came out here in 1980. He had always been coming out here in the summer as a kid and being a part of the North Fork. But really in 1980, my mother and father came out here, bought a piece of land in Cutchogue, which is where our main farm and vineyard is located. Wow. And from that, they bought here in 1985 in Jamesport. And as they say, the rest is history. We've been building the brand for the last 35 years here.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah, they just took a chance. They took a chance, not knowing we were not farmers, we were not in the wine business, and we learned how to grow grapes and how to make wine, which is, it's not as easy as it seems. There's a lot of challenges. But the nice thing about it out here is that maritime climate. So we do get the cooler breezes in the summertime that moderate the heat. And we also have in the wintertime the warmer bodies of water around here because of the Gulf Stream that comes up here, and so we never freeze, and so that's critical that the ground doesn't really ever freeze because the vines will obviously die at that point. So the water is what regulates the temperature, whether it's the summertime temperatures or the wintertime temperatures.
So that's a benefit of having a vineyard on the North Fork.
And you get the beautiful maritime breezes and the salt air, and so there's not too many places in the world like Long Island where we're surrounded by water at 3 different locations. We have the Long Island Sound, the Peconic Bay, and the Atlantic. So all those influence in different ways depending on where the vineyards are grown.
So.
But how did everyone meet?
Yeah, it's actually a small world in general. We came out here, my family moved out from the middle of the island 15 years ago. We never really thought that we'd be a part of the wine world per se. We Italian and Russian, so we always did have a bottle of red on the table for dinners and whatnot. But that was my extent of wine knowledge until we really dived into it about probably 7 years ago now, 2012 and 13 we started a little bit, and we knew that the North Fork of Long Island was something special in general, with the climate, with the people that live here, with the very budding and new age, the vineyards basically. So Jamesport Vineyard, we were happy to say that they were one of the first actually local vineyard that we decided to start distributing.
Wow.
That Ron allowed us to start distributing.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's been growing a brand for 30 years, 35 years, and we were happy to put it underneath our roof and start really pushing these brands further west, getting people more notable with these wines for New York City and just further west, and maybe one day wholesale. But right now, it seems that everybody loves to come out here as to visit. The East End is getting more and more well known for the wines, and you'll be seeing that transfer over further west. So.
Well, and what I love about wine, there's a personality to each bottle, but also there's a personality to each vineyard.
That's true.
Wine is a living beverage, and so that's the beauty of it. Is it takes somebody to grow it, it takes somebody to make it, and more importantly, it takes somebody to consume it. So there's this living thing that goes on all the time with it, and it brings people together. And I tell people that all the time, that we meet under all different circumstances, but when people come here, we're meeting under the fact that they want to know about us and they want to know about the wine and how it's made and how we produce it. And I think that's the connection, the emotional connection about it. But it's been around for thousands of years, wine.
Definitely.
And it always brings people together.
It's all about being together, especially in the holidays.
Small world too. None of us really came from wine. I dragged my brother out from Wall Street. He was a trade floor analyst at one point in time, 10 years ago. For Bank of Montreal. Jillian graduated school. She just runs all her numbers, full accounting department now. She's actually was one of the weekend managers at Sparkling Point. So she was very, probably the most knowledgeable about wine coming into this. And I came from medical sales, and I just happened to fall into the love for the wine country out here. So, and Ron, once upon a time, I guess, right? Parents decided to buy a vineyard.
I was 17 years old when I came out here. We didn't really know a lot about farming or making wine. We knew how to make it, but we didn't really know all the ins and outs of it. That it took to make great wine. It's easy to make wine. To make great wine is more challenging because of the weather and the varieties and the placement of the vines and what happens over the 30 years and the next generation that gets involved and how they perceive it and stuff. And so I have that next generation coming on board. And so that's always, how much do they want to take it on and go with it.
I think that's a beautiful thing that you're able to continue the pathway that your father started and continue to grow as a family business.
Well, I think that's the thing that I try to implore into my kids is that there is that generational thing, and I've taken it very far from where my father had it, and now they're going to have to, as they get involved, see the next path of what it is, and hopefully the food and the wine aspect. We talked a little bit about that earlier.
Yes.
That is to me the next thing, really creating the cuisine on the North Fork with the wines that come from this region.
Yes.
And we have a lot of great chefs and restaurants that are coming and doing that now.
Yes.
But I think that really is going to be what solidifies the North Fork is the food and wine
Coming together
together.
and being sustainable.
Yes. Yeah. Sustainability is always a good thing because that enables it to go into the next generation.
Yes.
Exactly.
And keeping it local.
Yeah, the new movement from farm to table
Yes.
is always relevant out here. So really pushing the trend out here for that.
All right. So,
Next wine we're going to have here is a 2017 Chardonnay. It's a barrel aged, barrel fermented, and so the difference is that sometimes you can ferment in the stainless steel, which we saw upstairs, or you can barrel ferment, and so you get different complexities when you barrel ferment. And so the barrels that are behind you, we age in them, or we ferment in them, depending on the process that's going on. And so when you ferment in a barrel, you pick up some of the nice natural wood characters in there. You get a little smokiness, you get some vanilla, a little spicy character. As to where if you just ferment it in the steel, you get more of the fruit characters, the citrus notes, the pear notes. And so depending on the winemaker and the preference, they'll do either or they'll blend the both. And so this is a blend of barrel fermented and stainless steel.
wow.
It's got some nice bright acidity to it.
Love that.
It's got some nice citrus tones.
I'm a new Chard drinker too. So
And Chardonnay is the
from-
most widely planted grape in the world. It is a variety that people tend to love, and I think a lot of it's because they can pronounce it. It's easy to pronounce, but it grows so many different places in the world, and it's basically a blank canvas in terms of how you make it taste and what the way you want it to taste. A lot of people are leaning more towards stainless today. And there's been this resurgence with the barrel fermented, barrel aged, but sometimes a lot of people just want the fresh fruit, and so you'll see a lot of that in France and Burgundy and those
Yeah.
particular parts of the world.
I will say,
great drinking wine.
your Chardonnay does have a personality to it because at our event
It was
that we
very
were so
well perceived.
honored
Yeah.
that he sponsored it, it was during the film festival, and my client, she was like, she's all about Jamesport. Like, she loves
Great,
it,
thank you.
and it was just, I kept pouring. She's like, Tia, give me some more Chardonnay, give me some more. I was like, okay, because she really enjoyed it.
I think that's the hard part about winemaking
Yes.
is that you can say I really like buttery Chardonnays, but does the fruit lend itself to making that? And I think that's the challenge that we always face when making wine is that we want to emulate certain things, but does it really lend to the quality of, depending on the weather of that particular year? And a lot of people tend to overdo the wine sometimes with too much oak, and I think you lose the balance of the natural acidity as well as the fruit in the wine by putting too much oak. Oak is a component.
Yes.
It's not the actual flavor. I mean,
Yes.
It can make it the flavor component, but it really can overpower sometimes.
And it's funny you're saying that because a lot of people, when they think of Chardonnay, they think it's very oaky
Yeah.
and
That's
buttery.
typical for like California
Yeah.
Chardonnays that used to run the world. Buttery, oaky. Still does a little bit in the West, but
But it's good that you can educate people and saying this is how it is supposed to taste.
Well,
like,
I
this is
think
what you
the
should
one
see.
thing we've always done here is try to emulate regions around the world that we enjoy, drinking those wines. And Chablis, is where they don't they ferment in stainless steel or concrete, and then they do very little barrel aging, and so you get more of that fruit flavor there. And that's really what we try to emulate is things that we like, but also we have to find the balance between the public and what they're trying to do and the markets that are changing all the time.
So with you though, it's vine to tap.
yes, well, Vine to
So-
Tap is another little thing that we've been working on for about 7 years where although popular about 30, 40 years ago, actually wine on tap or draft wine. In the last 7 years, we've really been making a valiant effort to push that. Just all around, simplest way to serve the product at a restaurant, the freshest quality, you don't have to worry about oxidation, how long a bottle's been open. Jamesport Vineyard has really grasped the concept. They actually have 2 of their own as well, wines on tap. They do a red blend and a white blend called Farmhouse Red, Farmhouse White. But that just goes along with sustainability.
Yeah.
It's a screw cap cork debate of
Okay.
10 years ago. So you'll be seeing that filter in more and more into the market. But yeah, the tap wine is the fastest growing trend in the U.S. for like the last 5 years.
Absolutely. You'll be surprised how many restaurants
Yeah.
have that.
And we just got spoiled with that, so we hopped right on it. We have 55 different varietals on tap. already.
Oh, whoa.
From around the world, including local, but we import. We do a lot, and yeah, it's quickly spreading. You'll see almost every local North Fork vineyard has wine on tap now. There's probably, I would say, 80% of them. And coming from zero, I would say 10 years ago. So it is a movement that's really coming fast. So.
And do you think that movement helps out with the sustainability aspect of the wine culture?
I think these guys can speak better to it, but obviously, from an economical standpoint, in terms of consumer and the bottle and the amount of time, and it goes directly from the tank into the keg into the market, so it's a lot faster.
Corks will never disappear, though.
Yeah, you're never going to lose that.
Yeah.
Never. It's a stigma. I'm a cork drinker. Personally, if I'm at a table, I do like to pull a cork from a bottle.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. But that being said, we do have Michelin star restaurants that serve plenty of our wine on tap. So it's a stigma, but it's coming around. And I should say that the consumer is what's coming around more so.
Okay, because they're being educated a little bit more.
They related tap wine to cheap, which we like to exclude that word from my vocabulary in the wine world in general, because inexpensive is a better word for it, because wine does not have to be expensive to be good.
Oh,
So
That's for sure.
have you ever done a blind wine tasting?
yes, I love it, because you get you trick yourself. You'll be surprised.
We got to
You'll be
do that
surprised,
next time. We got to do a blind wine tasting.
Yeah.
This would pair very well with the porgy.
Yeah, the nice thing about porgies, you can throw them whole on the grill and stuff, which a lot of us do out here. You don't want to take the time of cleaning them.
Yeah, we'll keep going.
What I love too is the fact that everyone on this table has a passion for wine, but you're coming into the passion with different aspects, like for you, with numbers and accounting and just knowing the research with everything. And with you,
Listen, I just make sure everything runs.
I can tell you're like,
It's a business.
let's go.
Stories there.
Yeah.
People get paid. Suppliers get paid. Everyone,
Yes.
There's many links in the chain.
Yeah, and it's interesting
And
too.
it's,
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not easy. There's, planning inventory. There's marketing your wines. There's designing sales plans that are marketed towards on-premise and off-premise, which are restaurants and liquor stores. Everything, there's a different angle for everything. Our wine on tap side of our business is an ounce rate driven. It's effectively getting wines out there at a certain price that people can serve a quality wine like Ron's Farmhouse Red Blends at a restaurant for an $8 a glass. Whereas if it was coming out of a bottle, calculating for waste and how people are going to order it, it would be a $12 glass. So it's just putting it's putting the glass pours where they need to be, how people want to receive them. But
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, listen, it takes an army to get this done the right way.
Yes,
It
and a
takes at
good
least
team.
4 of us here to get it done.
It's also a movement. And North Fork as a whole, like a lot of people, local vineyards will think that they're in competition almost with each other, where it's almost the opposite, where each vineyard will only help each other.
Complementing each other.
Exactly. As you move west, people know the North Fork for the wine region. Very rarely, well, once they get comfortable, they'll know individual vineyards, but they come out here knowing that it's a wine region destination. They can go and plan visits and come for the fall and hang out with family, plenty of bed and breakfasts, and there's plenty to do out here. So the whole region as a whole actually got its first, I think the North Fork got its own designation just last year.
Well, no, the AVA has been around since the 1985.
Oh, it has?
So
Okay.
the AVA is the American Viticultural
Yeah.
Area, and so any prominent region will always have an AVA. And in Europe, it's slightly different, but here in the United States, AVA represents that particular geographic location. And in order to be recognized, you have to have data that proves that what that is and the varieties and the acreage and things that are there. And so it's important to have that AVA. Very similar to Europe and how they classify, the DOCG or the DOCs, and so that's for us that is the symbol of that 85% or 100% is North Fork of Long Island when it says that on the label.
Right.
Just keeping it local.
Exactly. Keeping it local.
I love that.
We're small enough that we'll probably be able to do that, and so in terms of size of the amount of acres that are planted here, there's only 3,000 acres planted here, and there's 50 producers, and so it is a nice tight-knit family of people out here that have been here for a long time.
Do you guys collaborate a lot with one
I think
another?
like all businesses, we have different business models,
Okay.
but for the most part, we're here for the same goal, and it's to produce high-quality whites and reds, and I think that's always, the thing that helps each other drive and get better is when we do have challenges is that we do work together to get through those challenges.
I love
in terms
that.
of the region. Yep.
I love that.
Absolutely. Hands helping hands.
Yes.
Where it has to go.
And it's not because it's the holiday season that you're helping each other out. You're helping each other out year round.
No, it's a year-round.
Yeah.
It is a year-round commitment.
Yeah.
When you decide to get into the wine business, it is year-round. It never used to be that way because a lot of us came out here on the weekends and would do the work and then go back. But once the business really started, then it's year-round.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, each vintage, wine is really an art form. It's a consumable art form. What makes wine rare and expensive, not necessarily, again, that it's phenomenal. It's that every year, let's say this particular wine, they only make in a certain amount of cases. So in 10 years from now, when there's only 10 cases left, you can never reproduce that wine ever again. Because it, like Ron was saying, it comes in weather, it comes in winds, it comes in everything for the year.
People.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sounds unique.
Yep.
Exactly.
In its own way.
Absolutely.
Ready to try the next one?
Oh, yeah.
Let's drink some reds.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's it.
So now I see we have reds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Reds
Okay,
are
okay.
always a great time of the year for the reds. But the nice thing about the reds is that you can make reds in many different styles, and today's people's palates are constantly changing. So you get, once again, those tannins you can taste a little bit
Yes.
more lingering on the palate, but those tannins will soften over time, and that's the beauty of wine is that you have to be having the ability to hold on to it and allow it to develop, and sometimes that takes 5, 6, 10 years to do that, and most people are impatient. They want to consume it within 24 hours of purchase.
No, patience is a virtue.
Yeah, no, that's
You had
wine.
to- yeah.
Tough to savor the moment when you're drinking the wine. Right?
Patience is a virtue.
Oh, it is. It is. What's the most time spent in the barrels for anyone?
These larger format barrels that we have behind us, called the Boti, and so the Boti is 240 gallons, and so what's nice about a Boti is that more surface area of wood
Touches
than
the wine.
touches the
I didn't
wine,
think of that.
so it's a longer period of maceration or time spent
Okay.
aging. And so the smaller the barrel, the more oak that is touching the wine, and so the bigger the barrel, the less oak that's touching, and so you tend to get less tannin, but it can stay in the barrel for a longer period of time. Our wines average anywhere from 18 to 24 months, depending on, once again, the
Nice.
weather and the year. That's why in a cooler year, we put very little into oak because of the expense of the oak.
Right.
But more importantly, we want the oak to be the dominating factor in the wine.
I love it.
You did such a great job.
I love it. I'm excited for this next one too. This is hopefully adding to
What's the next
portfolio.
one?
So the next one is a mélange de trois, so the blend of three. So mélange in French means the blend, and so it's our bigger blend. It's got Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and Petit Verdot. And so this is a nice bold style wine. You'll notice the color is a little bit darker and a little bit richer. This is from the 2015 vintage. So 15 vintage was a beautiful year, nice warm summer, nice warm harvest.
So good.
We got some legs on it.
Now I want duck.
Yeah.
Now I do duck and red wine.
But a lot of people tend to, if it's red, it's got to be meat.
Right.
But red means fish too. I mean, you
Yeah.
can barbecue it. You can do so many different things with fish today that actually, a heavy spice sauce. That's
big.
Yeah. It's got some nice big tannins to it.
Love
And
it.
you can make sauce out of the wine too.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, you can reduce it down and stuff and add the flavor into the wine. So I'm not one of those ones that follows within that guideline of white is fish.
No,
and
no.
Red
I'm the
can be.
same way.
You have to have an
It definitely
adventure.
tastes great when you have a great wine, red wine with a piece of lamb or something of that nature.
But we're excited enough where we'll be adding more to our portfolio from Jamesport in the future, little by little. And these are just some phenomenal wines, and we're really happy to get them out there to let other people, palates, experience them and let them know that there's some really elegant wines being made.
I think that's a toast.
Yes, that is
That's a
toast,
wonderful toast
absolutely.
right there.
For future happy holidays, guys.
Yes.
Cheers.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
This.
And I like the legs on it too.
The legs?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Nice
Good
legs.
time. Yeah.
But this wine is still very young.
Yeah.
It is in the sense that you can taste the youth in it. You can taste the tannins haven't quite softened all the way. You get that grippiness on your tongue.
Yeah.
On this wine now, this definitely could be aged. How long could this sit in the cellar, do you think?
Ideally,
Ideally.
it's always the debatable thing. And
Right.
when we produce wine, I tend to take about 28 cases out of production. It goes in, and we have a warehouse, and we put everything in there. And I have it going back all the way. I don't have 28 cases going back all the way to 1980 when we first started
Wow.
making wine. I have enough of it to see that aging helps the wine. And some will do this, some will do this, and some will do this. And it's just, once again, the weather will dictate that whole process. But when you have a wine that's 15 years old, and I have some wines that are 15 years old, they're just gorgeous. It's us that have to be patient enough to hold that. And so those library wines, as they're called, are really what we do library tastings down here in the winter. And we bring a local cheese guy in here to pair the cheeses with the older wines, because the older wines can sometimes, they're not as youthful and not as so bright and stuff. And so you tend to have a little bit more of an age to them. And so by pairing cheese with them, you can actually make them come alive a little bit more, because cheese is lactic acid.
Yes.
And so that lactic-y thing you can play with. And that's why I say white and red doesn't always mix when it comes to meat. Cheese really is a big thing too in tasting.
Oh, definitely.
Tasting,
Absolutely. And there's nothing that goes better. Salty meats, wine, and cheese.
I love cheese.
That's me reminiscing. That's just.
No, that's my wife's favorite thing: a baguette, cheese, and a piece of meat.
Fruits?
Well,
Figs?
fruits are great too.
Jam? The fig jam?
Fig jams. You got all of that. The pastes and things. The quince paste.
Oh,
and
yeah.
things that all really go in there. Yep.
Have me a hello.
You had me at wine.
Have me a wine. Ain't that the truth?
Well, I'm really happy that you gave us a tour and an opportunity here. And before we leave, I definitely want to dive into one of these barrels and try
Yes, okay.
wine.
Let's open one up. So you can, let's do that. Let's open one up.
That's why I'm looking around. I'm like, you're talking away. I'm listening, but at the same time, I hear my name out of one of the barrels.
That's a fun experience. Glad we'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's something special.
All right, so what we have here, this is what they call a botti, which is 240 gallons. What's unique about the botti is you get more surface area to wine to wood, and so you don't get a lot of the wooded character, and so it can sit in the barrel longer. It has these nice thick staves. The barrel will last about 20 years, and so you get a different style of wood in the wine. And the nice thing about this really is that these barrels will last 25 years, as where a traditional barrel will last 6 to 8 years, and then we have to move on with them. But these barrels are made to last a long period of time. And so this is Greene, which is a northern Italian variety. There's nobody that makes this here on Long Island, so we're working with the vineyard producer to buy the fruit and to be able to make the wine. So it's kind of. Would you like to put your glass right
I
here?
would love that.
Yep.
Am I doing it? Yep.
So you're one of the first people to taste this. Not too many people taste it.
Ooh.
But it's this dark, rich color. It's got some nice medium tannins. What I really like about the Greene is the color, but more importantly, how it works with Cabernet Franc. We talked about Cabernet Franc earlier, and I think that it's just, you see how nice and soft and velvety it is.
I'm so jealous of that.
I'll share. Sure. You got to share the wealth.
Oh, savor it.
Perfect.
There you go.
And you can see it has that dark, beautiful color. And so when we're making wine, we're always looking for varieties that have color and tannin and body. But there's 250 different types of vinifera varieties, and so pick one. Which variety works well here on Long Island? We know Cabernet Franc, we know Merlot, but this is Greene. And so we've actually got a planting of Cabernet Greene going in next year. So it's going to be one of the second plantings going in out here on Long Island. So very excited about that.
It's wine education, Wine 101.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yes.
And thank you.
No, absolutely.
CW
I
Distributing.
finished my glasses.
I know, yeah, I know.
No, this is awesome.
This
That's
is
why
great.
we love working with Jamesport Vineyard, though. Obviously,
I can
you
feel
everybody
it.
can see the passion.
It's true passion.
We get to do the easy part and just sell the passion. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, thank you again. And we look forward to coming back and maybe savoring some great dishes along with the wine.
Springtime when everything starts to bud
That would be great. And we'll get to show everyone that as well. So for the holidays, tell us how they can savor more with you. Like, how can they find you?
Well, you can find us
online?
on our website, which is www.jamesportwines.com. Or
Okay.
you can come directly here to the vineyard in Jamesport here.
So it's wine time.
It is wine time. Winter's a great time to visit.
So until next time, you get to savor away with Jamesport
Yeah,
and CW Distributing.
tis the season, guys.
Tis the season.